Hello, and welcome back to the Geek on My Sleeve channel. Unless this is your first time, then welcome. Yeah, do book reviews, summaries, live book discussions, as well as random tech tips throughout creating a YouTube channel. I've found a lot of odd tech stuff, and I enjoy breaking things, so that's what we're here to do today. Today, I'm here to talk about how to capture four 1080 frames at the same time, as well as why you would even want to do that. Um, Timestamps or chapter markers in the video description. Yeah, so feel free to jump around, check those out. Let's just dive into it. I'm utilizing OBS, and a 4K resolution is exactly 1080 frames. And the reason why I wanted to figure this out is because normally I set up my scenes where I'll have, what I'm looking at, such as my desktop, and then I'll have my webcam kind of in the corner. Well, I ran into a portion of a video I made where I was talking about something and it was behind where my webcam was, as well as sometimes I do webcam reviews or how to use your phone as a webcam. Check the oh video up here. I've got two separate cameras going, trying to figure out where I'm at here. But it helps having each 1080 frame just as a content creator, because then when you bring it into your video editor of choice, you can just take that 4K footage, crop it down to a 1080, and then you can get each of the frames, and then you can manipulate them, put them over top each other, show several different things. Anyway, getting into the OBS settings. So first step, I can't do it because I'm currently recording, but click profile and create a new profile, because if you have everything set up for whatever your streaming or recording is elsewise, you don't always need 4K. So create a new profile, create a new scene as well, because if you move things in the scene and it's at 4K, and then you swap to your other profile that we'll say is at 1080, it essentially will be floating in the dead air or won't be on your screen. So recommend creating a new profile, creating a new scene, name it whatever you want. As for the actual settings, we'll go File, Settings. Nothing in the general. I'm not utilizing this for streaming. It's primarily for recording. So we'll go to Output. Yet again, nothing for streaming. If you're not seeing these, your output mode is probably set to simple. Go ahead and change that over to advanced. Set up wherever you want these recordings to go. And then for me, I use MP4 because it's a very widely known, well accepted format, as well as I can put multiple audio tracks to it, which reminds me. There we go. Anyway, so I can put multiple audio tracks to it. It's one of the few file formats that allows multiples. So that's personal preference. However many audio tracks, you'll hit the little check mark for whichever ones you want. For encoder, if you have a NVIDIA graphics card, H.264 new is by far going to be the best. NVIDIA is great with their encoders, and they've been really pushing the bounds of what all they're capable of, and newer stuff. Yeah, if you don't, you may run into some problems. If you don't have a NVIDIA graphics card, that'd be encoder of choice. We're not going to rescale because we want it how I have it set. And then for rate control, when I do a 1080, I'll do a variable bit rate, but I ran into some problems on the 4K, so I'd recommend a controlled bit rate for recording. And then that's 45,000 kbs. Keyframes for 2. We're going for quality for all of it, so max quality, high. I don't utilize look ahead. Depending on how well your graphics card is or how new, you may utilize it. But yeah, I've had problems in regards to 4K with it, so I always leave it off. GPU 0, and then max B frames is set for 2. And you're gonna go ahead and hit apply. Next, we're gonna go over to our audio tab. Now these start off, I wanna say at 160. I went ahead and bumped them up to 320, and essentially audio bitrate is the more data it's able to collect, the smoother your waveform is going to be. Now, it's not always going to, like my audio bitrate when I look at this file afterwards, probably is not going to be 320, but it allows it the opportunity. It's kind of like a variable bitrate. It allows it the opportunity that if it is that detailed to capture it. So I always bump it up. All right, go ahead and hit apply. And then we're going into our audio tab. For me, I disable them all in here. And that's just because I like to individually control them between my scenes. Yeah, it allows for adding filters and doing stuff different between the scenes. Which I guess this isn't necessary. That's just helpful. All right, so this is where the magic really happens. We're going for 3,840 by 2,160, and that's just basic 4K canvas, and that will fit your 1080 frames perfectly. I only do 30 because currently the Logitech webcam C922 that I'm using over here, and then my phone, I have them both set to 1080 30, so why capture 60 when my webcam is only at 30? If you do want to utilize 60, then I would recommend bumping up your bitrate. I want to say, we'll say like 50, 60,000. And all this is going to depend on your system. Once you get all that set, go ahead and hit apply. So if you bring up your task manager and you go to performance, it will kind of give you it's a tool I utilize often to see where you're at, because on the bottom here, it will show CPU, and it's saying with me recording at 4K, it's only taken 5% of my CPU, but that's because we have our encoder set for the new NVIDIA one, and so my 1060 recording at 4K 30 FPS is only running 48%, and it just gives you a nice little overview. So if your graphics card isn't as strong, maybe you switch your encoder. I do a little trial and error, and I always do a test shoot and then watch my recording just to double check it. But encoder is probably the last thing I would change. The first thing I would change is going to be your preset. I have it set to max because looking at my statistics here, it's not, I'm able to do it with my system. If you have problems or if it's chugging, I would change your preset from max and just bump it down 1 to quality, do a test record, check your stats, see how well your system's running. If that doesn't work, bump it down 1 more, and then I probably wouldn't go below performance. And then on this, you can change it to main, but we're trying to get better, so high. And that covers it for OBS settings there. The next helpful tip is, so normally when I was streaming, you would just click it, you would see the little red arrows, and you would drag your window to size it and make it fit. That is going to be, your eyeballs aren't perfect, but what is perfect, if you opposite click your scene and you go to transform, edit transform, the size values here, you can directly put them in. So we know this is 1920 by 1080. 1080. So that way you get the exact, and then you just snap it into the corners. If it's not kind of like grabbing or snapping, that setting is inside the first tab for the snap. If it's enabled, then it should kind of like grab it and bring it to a corner, or bring two things together. If you're having problems still and it's like not snapping the way, I would say adjust the sensitivity on your snap. But yeah, big thing is make sure to input the value for a 1080. I've messed it up on a couple recordings where I thought it all looked good. The scene or the source came in at 1080, and then when I went back to edit it, I had to crop it further one way. And yeah, just tips. Hope this helped you out. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and drop a like. If there's more that you want to see, or other applications, or reasons why you would utilize this, go ahead and leave it in the comments below, and hope to geek out with you here soon.